Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Veterans Voice podcast brought to you by the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm your host, Krista Townsend, and joining me today is Dr. Brint Montgomery, and he is the administrator for the State Approving Agency. And he's also an expert on the GI Bill.
Well, the GI Bill is a complex piece of legislation, and it's, in a nutshell, it's essentially a benefit offered to veterans, and in some cases their spouses or their dependents to assist with education and training.
Right.
So it's got a lot of parts, a lot of programs.
Okay. Well, let's back up a little. So first, welcome, Doc, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
And today we're celebrating the 77th anniversary of the GI Bill, which was signed into law on June 22nd, 1944 by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Very good.
So just to get started, in a nutshell, what exactly is the GI Bill?
Well, the GI Bill is offered to veterans and spouses and sometimes dependents. It depends on which particular version you are under, but generally that's the best way to think about it. Mostly it's used by veterans, but those benefits can be signed off to either spouses or dependents or split up among several dependents if you have several children.
Okay, all right. And what are some of the components of the GI Bill?
Well, it includes several different versions, as I said. The vast majority offers a monthly stipend of some sort. And so the most recent, most popular version of the GI Bill is called the Post 9/11 GI Bill. And it goes a step further, and it pays tuition and fees to the schools directly. And it also offers funds for books and housing directly to the beneficiary or to the veteran, whoever is using the benefit.
Okay, that's a really, really nice benefit.
It is. It's an earned benefit. You have to have standing and have to have served and honorably discharged, and all of this allows you to take advantage of the GI Bill.
Now, does this cover full tuition or just partial?
It depends on where you're going, but as a rule, it has 36 months of benefits, which is typically a 4-year program, the way it works out.
Okay. And does this include housing expenses if they wanted to live on campus? Or?
Yes, it depends on the program you're in. It can provide a certain monthly housing depending on where you are in terms of your zip code and location and the kind of program you're in. So it can do that. Even if you're in an apprenticeship or an on-the-job training, it can also supply housing, which is good for retention for businesses interested in hiring veterans.
Yeah, wow. Now, can they go to any college in the state of Oklahoma?
Any accredited college, like an Institute of Higher Learning, universities or college. Also, we have a career tech system in Oklahoma, so it's accepted in almost all of those, with a few more coming on. And just private vo-techs as well, so beauty schools, barber schools, things that would have a career trajectory once you got the training complete.
Okay. And does this apply to any program of study or just certain ones?
Well, it has to be an approved program of study, which is what the state approving agency does.
There you go.
And so typically you'll get training programs that submit catalogs to us or training regimens. We go through it, make sure everything adds up. And so if it does, then we send approval. And that can happen no more than maybe between 1 and 2 years every time you get a reapproval of a program. So it's on continual rotation.
Okay, now help me understand that a little better. When you say reapproval of a program, that you mean that when the university is getting the program?
Any
approved?
training facility can go no more than about 2 years without a reapproval. So if you gave us a catalog or a document of study and you didn't change anything at all ever, still after 2 years we'd have to go and re-review the program. Now, as you know, schools often update their catalogs annually, and when they do that, they get reapproved. We go through and make sure, again, everything just adds up. We're mostly looking to see if there's certain policies, attendance policies, payment policies, all the standard things you'd expect to see if you're going to go into a training program.
Right, of course. And then you said it does cover books and tuition fees, which books can be quite expensive.
Yeah,
so.
it covers the standard costs for an education, but the details would be provided by the certifying officials at each school or the training facility.
Okay. And then what is your agency, the state approving agency, what is their role with the GI Bill?
Well, I mentioned approval. So typically approval is the front end of the process where they would give us a catalog or training documents or something like that. And we'd make sure that it has certain criteria, and I mentioned attendance policies, tuition, that it would be a legitimate training program that had a career field to it. There's several, in fact, many items we look at. And so that's the sort of the front end of the process. Now the back end of the process is called compliance, which is something we also do. It says once you've told us what you're going to do, we go in and then see, did you actually do it? And so we sample a certain amount of those every year and see, did you make payments correctly? Did you charge the students correctly? Did you move through your system according to the VA regulations and who you pay and when you pay and all that kind of stuff? And for the most part, it's straightforward. And often we find errors, but it's very rare we find anything beyond just people who understand that they have to report in certain ways. So that's the back end of the process. But we also do outreach and liaison. So if new businesses or new programs come on and want to participate in the GI Bill, we meet with them, lay out what they need. And so that's the kind of outreach. Liaison is when other government agencies or other agencies contact us. Maybe a trade union, for example, might say, are there any programs in the state approved to do pipe fitting or electrical wiring and something like that? So, of course, intergovernment agencies as well. That's why we're housed in ODVA. We also handle on-the-job training and apprenticeships, which is a little bit different. It's a training regimen. So suppose you want to go work on these power windmills that they put up all over the state, and they have training regimens for that. And so we would handle on-the-job training. Also federal apprenticeships, we work and submit that paperwork in and through our agency. And of course, we do training for school officials or facility monitors. So if you want to know what to do once you've decided you want in, we go and meet or explain how to certify a veteran, what software systems you use at the VA, that kind of thing.
Okay. It sounds like it really covers just about everything.
Yeah, it does. It's sort of the start to finish. And it's been around for a long time. The GI Bill, as you noted, is 77 years old.
Well, yeah.
So they
why
make
we're here
adjustments all the time, depending on the interests of the beneficiaries or the veteran or military needs. So those all mix together. And so legislation regularly makes little changes over time.
And then you mentioned some of the training programs already, but that's another interesting component. If the veteran might want to go a different route than traditional college or university. So what are some of the training programs they could sign up for?
Well, any business, for example, water companies, utilities, Amazon, any business that registers that has a documented training program that can show that there is a high likelihood of employment in a known industry can register for the GI Bill, get approved, and veterans can go through their training. So it doesn't have to be an academic background. Be a vocational background, business background. There's a lot of options, which is nice for people who might want to go, say, straight into air conditioning instead of going into, say, philosophy, as I did when I was a veteran. So again, it'll pay for any legitimate credentialed approved training.
Right, because there's many paths to success for our veterans, and this is one of them.
Yes, it is.
So just tell me a little bit about how it's changed over the years, how it's improved during this 77-year tenure.
Well, the federal government realized right away that they could not staff enough people to track the hundreds of thousands of GIs getting out, especially World War II and then later on. And so they divvy up into each state approving agencies. And so state approving agencies do, not surprising, the approval, the compliance, all the things I mentioned. And so over time, as legislation changes, and so we have Vietnam era benefits, you have post 9/11 benefits, and so all those roll through the different military eras, so to speak. And they adjust them based on what kind of veterans or what kind of training veterans are seeking. And again, post 9/11 GI Bill benefits are named after post 9/11. There's big changes in American society, and so the GI Bill keeps up with those changes.
Well, that's good that it's staying relevant and current with the times, because I saw that it also covers some programs like the Vet Tech, so that's for veterans wanting to go into high technology fields. And
yes, the institutions have to apply for that, and so that's related to veterans education, but I believe that's a separate program.
Oh, okay. Okay, good to know. Well, I would think that, this is obviously a very beneficial program for our veterans. Do you think there's a lot of veterans that don't know about all the components of the GI Bill, or that they need to get more information out there to them?
The certifying officials are trained to tell them what's available at the institution they train at, whether it's academic or business, and those people get set up before the veterans can come in, typically. Or if a veteran finds a new program and says, I'm a veteran, I have GI Bill benefits, a business may say, well, let's see if we can get you set up here to do the training. So often the veteran will make a request we get a note that says that business or school is not in the system, and then we follow up and just tell them, here's how you apply. It's very straightforward to do so.
Okay, well, leading into that, so how do they apply?
Well, essentially, they just email us or give us a call, and we give them a link to an application. And from then, we shepherd them straightforwardly for the application, and we tell them what materials we need to see. We review those materials. If there's anything missing, we just say, well, you might want to add this attendance policy here, you might want to do this there. And so over time, they just make the adjustments. Pretty soon, we send it off to the VA. He gets approved, they get a certificate, and then they're certified after training to take on the GI Bill and have veterans use it.
Well, and then what about our veterans? What's the application process for them?
Well, almost all of our schools, academic schools, are already in the system in Oklahoma. Most of the career techs are in the system. And if a veteran wants to train in, say, a private VOTEC or a business, they would simply apply for that. And it would come back that business was not in the system, and then we can contact the business, and we just run it from there. So it's not unusual for us to get calls from businesses, or we get a letter that a business is applying, and then we'll contact the business and say, now this veteran wants to apply for benefits to your business, here's the advantages to do so, and it can be we lead them through the process. You don't have to do much hunting around. We tell you right where to go.
So if the veteran wants to obtain this benefit, do they contact us and go to our website?
Typically, they contact the business, and the business
they
will
go
contact
directly
us.
to the school or university or the training program they want to go through.
It's not unusual either for a veteran to contact a business and they say we're not a participant, and then they'll call us and we'll explain how they do it. Then the business will contact us directly. So it can be a kind of a teamwork effort.
Okay, but like you said, most of our accredited universities are already part of it, and probably have been for a while.
All the major ones you would hear about are a part of it.
Okay. Well, where would veterans or universities go to find out more information?
Well, you can go to our website, which if you type ODVA and a space and SAA, will be the #1 search. You just click through, and there we are.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Well, do you have anything you would like to add to that?
No, I think ODVA is doing quite well in supporting the GI Bill, and we continue to do so. So looking forward to seeing more veterans coming to the system.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me today.
Sure.
It's been great having you as my first guest. And
all right.
Hopefully you'll come back soon. Our next topic will be on PTSD. So hope you will join us for that. And have an amazing day. And as always, thank you for your service.